I was looking at this. I was like, we need to move that.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday School. We have a new guest. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I am Clarice Goodman, faithful member of of Faith Hope and Ministry Charities, Faith Hope and Charity Ministries.
Okay, come on in and talk with us. We have a couple of wonderful people here already. But we're going to talk about, we're still on Proverbs 31, but the question today is can I be a Proverbs 31 woman if I'm single? So what do you think?
I think you can absolutely be a Proverbs 31 woman if single. I think you still, even if you are trying to be a girlfriend or wife, you still need to live up to certain characteristics and qualities and carry yourself a specific way because you have to lead up to that.
Exactly.
So yes, I definitely think that you
I agree.
can live
Yes.
up to that.
We're going to start. Charm is deceptive, and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. That's Proverbs 31 and 30, NIV. How could you measure up? Not just how she wakes up before the sun rises, makes her own clothes, she's married, taking care of her children, running the household. A wife of noble character who can find. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him not harm all the days of her life. So, last week we talked about what it takes to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And the discussion got real good. So, I just want to rush through some of the things that we didn't complete. Because this, like I said, this whole month is on Proverbs 31. So we discussed to stay watchful, and that's what she did. She was watching over her household. The second one is stay attentive. Attentive is defined as paying close attention to something. The spiritual meaning of paying attention is a cultivated habit which nurtures connection, healing, and survival. The Proverbs 31 woman was attentive to her household. She exemplified the gift of focusing on taking care of her own house and not worrying about someone else's. And yet, how often are people scrolling and double tapping someone else's life online while neglecting their own real life? What happens to your life if you focus so much of your attention on someone else's life? What happens? Do you think what happens?
I think that when you're distracted, like, we'll just say a married woman, right? I think when you are so worried about somebody else's household, like, what you are not tending to will fall apart in a sense, right? Like, things are going on in your household, but you're too worried about somebody else's.
Right.
And those things tend to, like, build up and make things worse and cause just extra stress on your life.
Exactly. Exactly. What do you think, Sister Amber? You agree? Yeah. You want to elaborate?
You gonna bring it to the stage?
Oh, no.
No, just
You want to elaborate? Okay. All of this is a distraction that can lead to comparison, the fear of missing out, and discontentment. Because if you look at somebody, if you're on social media, good morning, evangelist, welcome. If you're, so reality, how is real is the reality? How real is people's social media? When you see people living real large, and you have a ordinary life, you're not, you don't have this big giant house, you don't have a lot of money, but these people are living so large, and you look at that and you think, what's wrong with me, or what's wrong, why can't, and then you might look at your husband and like, okay, why can't I have what they have?
I think that's the problem with wanting or like looking at somebody else's life. Like social media is social media, it's not reality.
Exactly.
So when you try to live up to somebody else's expectations, that's not, you know.
I knew a woman, I had a friend, her husband, you know, he had his own business, so they were doing well. And her coworker was always wanting to, you know, live up to the Joneses or follow. And my friend's husband would periodically upgrade her engagement ring. And it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And as hers started growing, her coworker would go to her husband to get an upgrade. But he might have had a regular job, whereas my friend's husband had his own business, and he was doing quite well. So at some point, I can't imagine what that house looks like with he's finally saying, we can't follow everybody.
Right.
We can't copy, we can't live up to somebody else's means because, you know, you have to look at what you can.
Right.
But if you're trying to, you know, keep up with the Joneses, the Joneses might be millionaires and you just got a regular job.
Right. Exactly.
Barely pulling in 75,000 together.
Right.
So how are you going to live that life? And so you have to take focus back off of other people and put it back on your life. You know? When people focus on their own homes and lives, they become grateful and their hearts open to see just how blessed they already are. And you know, that's true. You see what when you start seeing what you have, maybe you need to, because you're looking at somebody else and you're thinking, I don't live up to that.
Right.
But if you take a step back and see what you have a husband that loves you, you
Right.
have amazing kids, so that's blessing. You have a home, even if it's an apartment.
Right.
You have a home and you know it's kept up and it's nice, you know, and it's kind of teaches some gratitude
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
so you can appreciate what you have. Because that other person, they might have, you know, the same husband and children, but their house might be in turmoil. But you don't know that
Exactly.
because they put up a front on social media. What do you do? What do you think, Evangelist Sibby? Tell us what you think. As you read Proverbs 31, you can see the multitude of tasks she does on a continual basis. If she is not attentive, imagine what can happen to her family, her husband and children, plus all the tasks she deals with. Take a moment to think about your life would be like if you are not attentive to the daily, weekly, or monthly tasks that are at your hands. If you consistently neglected them to focus on what is going on in someone else's life, what do you see? This is a rhetorical question. What do you see in your life if you're not paying attention to that, but focusing on somebody else's or something else is going on? How productive or successful can you be if your attention is diverted? You can't be,
Right.
because you're going to focus on what you're focused on. You know, what's this say? Why the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror? Because that's where you're going.
Right.
You don't need to
Right.
see,
Exactly.
you know, because if you turn it back, that's not going to be good when you're driving forward. Now, the third one is stay fruitful. Matthew 7:16. You will know them by their fruits. The Proverbs 31 woman was fruitful because she does not eat the bread of idleness. The bread of idleness are the things we consume that leads to nothing. They are not fruitful, whether it is the distraction of our phones, gossip, or simply checking out mentally. We rob our families, friends, and households the best of our presence when we are not intentional about doing God's will. The Proverbs 31 woman doesn't do everything. She does the right next thing. That is good. She does everybody's life is different. You don't live your life like me. I don't live my life like anyone else. You know, our individual walk with God is different.
Yeah.
It's unique to us. It's not a one-stop shop. Like, okay, you have to go in and get indoctrinated and be this robot.
Right.
He knows how you are. Just like they say a mother knows her kids. She can have about 5, 10 kids, and she knows every one. She knows how, who's good at this, who can do that. You know, my mother, she would come home sometimes. She said, "Oh, you wash the dishes," and I would say, "Yeah, how you know?" She would never answer. And then for one day, years later, she finally told me, she says, "Because when you do it, you do the whole thing. You do all the back." Oh, so she knows her kids.
Right.
She knows. She didn't
Right.
have to ask, "Did you do the dishes?" She's like, "I know you did the dishes." Because when you do it, you know, because some people, they just wash the dishes. Evangelist Sibby says, if you are so busy looking at someone else's life, you neglect the things in your life. You have to learn to be grateful for what you have and become a good steward over those things. That is true. He's giving you these things, and I think last week, Evangelist Scarlett was saying that, you know, children are a gift. They are a gift to the right people,
Yes.
because everybody is not. If the Lord just handed you $50 billion, do you know what to do with that? Right up, unless you took that step to get there. But everybody's not made to be a supervisor or that wealthy, because as you can see, the way some of these people are acting, you know, you get to the point where it's like, when is enough enough?
Right.
When is enough enough? So, I agree. Where was I?
Fruitful woman.
Yes. May we be women who walk in step with God's will. When we do, the blessings of a true and honest relationship with God will fill our hearts and overflow into our homes. Virtuous women are in constant communion with God. The good things we do don't make us virtuous. Virtue comes from constant communion with God. The fruitful woman doesn't rely on her own strength, abilities, or nature for the growth of fruit. She isn't stuck within the confines of her personality, unable to break free to the fruitfulness of more love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, faith, goodness, and self-control. The Proverbs 31 woman is considered fruitful because she is depicted as a hardworking, productive woman who actively contributes to her household and community through her labor, wisely managing her finances and essentially bearing good fruit in the form of positive actions and care for her family. You may not work with your hands in the field, not me. I don't have a green thumb. My mother did not pass. My sisters are. It did not come to me. I had, like I said, I had plants, my mother's plants. My other sister came over my house and took them with her. She says, "No, they're coming with me." I said, "Okay, you know, let them." And they're probably still alive. If they had stayed in my house,
I'm the same way. My mom has a green thumb. She's really good with plants, and I
Yeah.
love plants. I just can't keep them
I do
alive.
too.
So.
I do too. And I've had some, and I looked at a picture that they put up of my niece's kids, and I'm looking at all the greenery behind them. I'm thinking, I had all these plants. I have none. What happened? They're gone. So you just do what your gift is, and that's not mine. My sisters, they both have gardens. My other sister, she give you greens and all this. God bless you. God, that is not my forte. So you may not work with your hands in the fields or with wool and linen, help the needy, or all of the many tasks the Proverbs 31 woman does. But whatever it is at your hands to do, just stay watchful and be attentive and fruitful. Because your thing might be helping the community. You might be good at teaching or whatever God puts on your hands to do, because it's going to be basically tasks for you.
Right.
because especially if you go into school, because if you put somebody who's business minded into a chemistry class,
Right. Yeah, that's not their.
it's
not
not
their
their
craft,
forte.
that's not
Right.
their
It's
thing.
like, okay, or you put somebody, in dissecting in biology. And they like, but I just want to know macroeconomics. I just
Right.
want, but that's not who they are. That's
Right.
not what they could do. So does that mean single women are disqualified from this standard of womanhood? Something to think about.
Yeah.
However, what if perhaps you are single, never married, or single with children? It's easy to believe we can only become our best selves once we have our lives, quote, together. Because you think, oh, okay, I'm not going to get blessed until I do this. I got to get this done. I got to be this. I got to do that.
I think what you're saying is true. Like, we sometimes will think that. I think it's important for women, single or not, to like pour into yourself, right? You may not have the job that you want per se, right? But as long as you're working toward or you're doing something. You said something about like idleness, and I believe like if you are not pouring into yourself, like you won't find somebody to pour into you, right? Like I think you need to kind of establish the kind of person, the kind of woman you're going to be, right? And like work towards that, and then you can find somebody that
Fits into
right.
Right.
Because you won't know it if you haven't done it for yourself,
Right.
I feel like.
Because you don't know what you're looking for.
Exactly.
Or what's good for you if you're not living your life.
Right.
Yes, I agree. It's easy to believe we can only become ourselves, like I say, if we're together. For some, it's getting married. For others, it's having a house with a family. We may know in our mind a husband and kids don't complete us, but sometimes our heart tells us a different story. However, if you read Proverbs 31 closely, none of the skills she has depend on her having a husband or kids. Because when King Lemuel's mom was trying to tell him what to look for in a wife, she wasn't a wife yet. She wasn't a wife yet. She was single. So those qualities are not of a married wife, but it's, I guess, a prerequisite of a good wife. But I've known some women who got married and they couldn't cook. They were bad at keeping house, but they got married. So,
That's true.
And they might not, and there is no perfection.
Right.
There is no such thing as
Right.
perfection. So she has these skills because she exercises wisdom in everything she does. The standards for a virtuous wife are the same standards for a virtuous woman, whether single or married. A virtuous woman is defined as someone having or showing high moral standards. That's what we say.
I agree with that.
Because when you read that, they always depict her as, okay, she has these qualities as a wife. But before she became a wife, she was a woman.
Right.
She wasn't taking care of kids because she wasn't married with kids. So she had to establish who she was before she got married. Learn how to cook. Someone asked me if I knew how to cook. I said, yeah. She says, what can you cook? I said, anything I want to eat.
Yeah.
Anything I want. Well, I'm a pescatarian now, but back in the day I wasn't. So I, pot roast, chicken, turkey, I cooked my first Thanksgiving meal when I was in my early 20s, mid-20s, because I wanted to prove to my mother that you don't have to stay up all night long. So I said, okay, I'm going to do everything. But my mother would not let me do the dressing because I don't care for it. So she said, I don't want you to mess up my recipe. I said, fine, I don't care. I did everything, the meal, the desserts. And I went to bed at night. I was in bed. The turkey wasn't in the oven all night long, although I do like cooking my meat slow. But they stand up all night and look barely able to enjoy the day because they
Yeah,
all night.
yeah.
You see, you wait till it's 10 o'clock at night to say, okay, let's get started. Start at 4. You can get the pies and the cakes out the way and get them pushed to the side. You can get the sides done. You know, you can get, and even if you get up, because most time your meal is what, 3 o'clock or something like that. You can get up early, throw thing in the oven, you get it ready the day before. So then you can just put it in there. I don't know this. I did that, and I went to bed, and everything was done. I did it as a, like, I'm going to show you. Do you agree? Are you one of those all night people? Are you one of those all night cooking? Yes. Yes. There's a method. If you get things together, are you, Evangelist Sibley, were you one of those people that stayed up all night? Well, you don't want the pies standing when you cook. You don't want the pies, Michael, when you're working on the uncooked turkey, okay? You want the pies to be safe. Because if they get... So, what do you think? All of these, you are who you are. But although, like I said, I've known women who got married and they could not, one woman, she said she could only cook breakfast.
I think in cases like that, I mean, I don't know, but I assume that for things you might lack, you will look for a partner that can like make up for that, or like if you can't cook, you have other qualities that you're very
Right.
great in to kind of.
Right.
I don't want to say make up for it, because it's not that you like lack
'Cause
something.
that's not your forte.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Like personally, I can cook, but I don't like to. I
Right.
tell my partners,
That's your
I don't like to cook.
Right.
But I will clean the kitchen.
Exactly.
Spotless when you get done cooking. I can do that. So like I know my strength and I know my weaknesses. So
See, that's right there is something that's important. You have to, you know you. You know your strength.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. I'm not working in dirt because me and bugs don't get along.
Exactly.
If I see a worm, I'm not a kid anymore when we played in dirt. If I see a bug, I'm out. It's over,
Yeah. Yeah.
Evangelist says it's important for a young girl to be nurtured by an older woman with not just domestic skills, but one who recognizes the gifts within and nurtures those gifts as well. Michael talking about Uber Eats. Uber Eats, please. Huh?
It is expensive.
Especially for the holidays.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, see, Michael can cook, so he's just talking crazy. He can cook. But when you gotta know like you say, you know your strength. I used to sew. I don't anymore. I'm okay with not sewing anymore.
Yeah.
When I was in school and we took that in class, I had a locker full of pants and skirts that was not hemmed because I hated hemming. So my teacher was like, okay, I had a lot of, she says, you're not going to get great until you finish this. Like, so you got to hem the waist, you got to hem the legs, and the big old skirt. I was like, okay. But I crocheted. That
I do
time is
too.
over.
I crochet too. Yeah.
Okay. Are you one of those people who can do clothes and?
Yeah. So the latest thing I just made was like a little cardigan.
Oh, see, I had a friend, a coworker, who she crocheted, and she would make a lot of these different things, like what you have on. She would make all these, and that's great. My fingers started saying, we need to stop. So I listened to those, and I stopped. Unfortunately, I stopped halfway into a couple of throws. I had a couple of throws. But whatever it is that you Evangelist Sippy agree with you. She don't like to
Yeah,
cook.
like
But she-
you,
exactly.
you gotta know. You gotta know what you know.
What your strengths, your preferences. Good morning. So yeah, you got to know you, and you need to spend that time as a single woman to know who you are and what your strengths are.
Right.
Because I don't cook like I used to. Well, I have other issues. Because I had, at one point, you have stuff, when I was in school and working, and my mom was still alive, I would cook up 2 or 3 meats and even some sides and portion them out and freeze them. So like, okay, you want meatloaf, you want chicken, you want whatever, and I can just pull that out
Right.
and it's already done. And Saturday morning, when I'm up studying, I get everything going. So,
Right. Yep.
but now, oh, quick, Michael. Nowhere. Nowhere. Nowhere does that definition of a virtual woman is a result of her marital status. She is who she is. As our life grows and change, we learn and adapt. Here are a few character traits we see in Proverbs 31, 10 to 31. You want to name them?
I think I'm on the wrong one.
First one is trustworthy. You don't have to be married to be trustworthy. You can be a single woman. You can be a divorced woman. You can just be a woman, but you're trustworthy. Hard worker. She's a hard worker. That comes in handy. But if especially if you're single, you got to take care of yourself. So I hope you're a hard worker. You got a job. You need that job so that you can be able to pay your bills and it's just you. Resourceful. Single or married, you got to be resourceful to know where to get what you need and how to do it. Have a sweaty. Make good use of her time. Now, time management, that is important. But like I say, I used to work crazy hours. And it was my own choice. And hindsight is 20/20. If I knew then what I know now, Kathy would have been leaving at 5 o'clock. I would have been leaving. It's like, okay, it's 5 o'clock, I'm out. Because there is no life.
Yeah.
And there are times I would go out in the field at 5 o'clock. So that means I'm not getting home till like 9 or something.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember one Christmas Eve, I was trying to get all the little ones their Christmas gifts. So I was out at 9 o'clock. It was snowing like crazy, trying to get the little ones. I told the teenagers and older ones, I'm like, you got a gift. You're not a baby. You will see it after Christmas. But the little ones, I wanted to get them theirs. But, you got to do what you got to do.
I think with the time management piece, it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. You have to spend that time with your family, right? Like, I think, like, my job talks a lot about work-life balance, right? If you are working so much, like you're so much of a career woman, how much of your time are you allocating to your family to spend time, like actual time with your family? Because you could work all day and then get home and
It's
now
9,
you
10
on social
o'clock.
media
Right.
and you're like ready to go to bed after that.
Right.
Then how much time did you give your family?
Because if you get home at 9 o'clock at night and you left it to get to work at 8:30, what do you do when you get home? Get ready for bed.
Right, yeah.
Good morning, Sister Jackie. Yeah, you a big boy. You can get it right. Exactly. And what I like is that you said your job pushes work-life balance. More seems to, because I work for the government, so everything that they'll bring something to you at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
we need this now, but you held on it for a couple of weeks. So, and I remember one time we was going through accreditation, and we were told to stop doing everything because we had to submit some cases. and we could not work any case unless, except for those that we submitted. I said, well, what about all those other cases I have? I said, okay, I'm gonna tell you what, if I have to go to court and they have issues, I will name names.
Yeah.
And so when it was over, we stand at 10 o'clock at night trying to make sure everything is ready for accreditation. And one of the women at this group home, she says, oh, I know you're going to take a vacation afterwards. No, we couldn't because we had to catch up on all the things that we couldn't do. But the administrator says, oh, we're so tired. We have to go to vacation.
Yeah.
But you didn't stay at 10 o'clock with us. You didn't miss lunch like we
Right,
did.
Yeah.
You piled everything on us, but you were so exhausted
Right.
from getting all this stuff on
Yeah.
us. But I love it when you have a job, first of all, a job that pushes that, but you need to have that for yourself. And I
Yeah.
wish I had that for myself. I wish I had that work-life balance for myself, because they're gonna, a lot of people, even if it's not your job, but people will take as much as you give them. And if you keep giving them and keep giving them, they're gonna keep taking.
Right. Yeah.
And you have to be cognizant enough to say, wait a minute, I'm taking from me. I'm not leaving, because if you're, even if you're single, you're not leaving much to yourself.
Right. That's right.
And maybe that's why you're single, because you don't.
You ain't got time to date because you working. so-
Exactly. Maybe that was my problem. Good with money. Now, I know some married and single people's not good with money.
I've heard that financial issues is one of the top reasons of divorce.
It is. It is.
Yeah. But I think that goes kind of hand in hand with being resourceful, right? If you don't make a lot of money, you probably shouldn't be overspending. Like you
If
should
make a lot of
know.
money, you shouldn't be spending, period.
Well, that's true.
But you know, if you're married and one is, imagine if one is a spender and one is a saver.
Yeah. Yeah.
But imagine the one who spends the most makes the least.
I feel like that's how I go.
Yeah. I've been cheap all my life, so. I have. If I found a quarter, it's going in my drawer when I was little. I know people, if they get $1, they run into the store.
Yeah, I am a saver, but I think it's certain things that I will ball out on. So, shoes being one of them. So my partner has to know that I will spend money on shoes. So
I used to be like, Amber, what was you saying? Do you have anything to add?
It's definitely different when you're single versus
Yes.
married.
Yes.
Got a kid. Definitely looking back when I was single. But when I was single, it's fair to say I wasn't making the money that I'm making now. But when I was single, I definitely like all down shoes.
Right.
Whether it was gym shoes, a pair of heels.
yeah,
But now it's like,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
responsibility, more
Exactly.
responsibilities now. Yeah.
right, it's good. Yeah.
You have to adjust.
Different priorities.
You have to adjust
Yeah.
your life. Sister Pam, do you want to include, add anything?
According to your focus, a lot of times when you focus, you got the right focus, you're gonna be able to adjust and financially, in the way you need to adjust, you know. If that focus is, I'm trying to get a house, that focus is,
Exactly.
I'm saving for a car, if that focus is, I'm still in college, you
Right.
know. But if you know, according to what your focus is at that time, you know, and it fluctuates throughout life.
Yes, and it coincides with your conditions, like your situation, because you, like, when you were single, you did this. When you got married, things changed. And a lot of people, I think when they have these breakups because of finances, I think the problem is, you know, a lot of people, when they come together, they're afraid to have that conversation, the hard
Yeah.
talks.
Mm-hmm.
And money is a hard talk.
Yeah.
It's a hard conversation that needs to be addressed. because I'm not materialistic. You know, I did have a lot of shoes, but and I gave away a lot since. But you have to have that conversation because you need to know, okay, are you this? Are you a spender? Are you know, thrifty? Are you a saver? Do you, at a whim, say, okay, where's the credit card? Credit card, you know, because I remember when I was little, I was with my mother because, you know, I was little and everybody was in school and I was not yet. And we were out shopping. I says, they just say charge it, Mom. They just say, signs up say just charge it. I didn't understand. I was a child. And she said, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
So I said, you have to set boundaries for yourself and others. It's, yeah. You know, and if you're married or you're getting married, you have to, like we say, have that conversation because you may say, okay, we want a house. So we have to prepare for that.
Right.
You know, or we want kids in our future. So you definitely, because kids are not cheap.
Yeah.
Kids are not cheap. They're expensive, especially babies. Because babies, all the stages that they go through, you know, you have to have it for every stage. You know, and especially when they get to, you know, start walking and crawling, it's like you buy clothes for that, then you gotta go buy more. We just bought these clothes because they grow they can grow so fast. You do spurts. What's the next one?
So the next one is generous. I think generosity, I think sometimes people think being generous is gift giving sometimes, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah. And I think being generous, it can be like with your time, your level of support that you give your partner, and being generous with yourself too.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially like for single women, giving
That is
yourself
important.
grace, things like that. I think that comes with
That
generosity.
is important because I don't think that we do that.
Yeah.
I don't think that we do that as much as we need it because
Yeah.
it is just us. And people have a tendency to look on us as, I had someone say, well, you're single, so your time is good for me. You know, you can't make
Yeah,
expectations
right.
on my life. You don't need money, so you can help me out with, since you got a job and you don't have kids and you're not married, so can I borrow some money? And then can I borrow some money? And then, hey, can I borrow some money? And, well, wait a minute, you didn't pay back, you said borrow, you didn't say give.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and people think because you're single, you're supposed to be generous with tangible things. Or even, you know, some people might take advantage of that
Yeah.
because you're single. But like Sister Jackie said, you have to set boundaries. Evangelist said her money goes eating out. Hey, whatever works for you. She pay her bills, but goes eating out. Hey, that
Treat
fits your
yourself.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
If that's important, because, you know, you like, okay, I got my bills, but I like to shop. I like
Yeah,
clothes. I
right.
like shoes. But you're single. So, and you say, okay, I have money in the bank, so I can treat myself. I can take care of myself. And I can do what I need.
Right.
That was good.
And the next one is she thinks ahead. I'm a person that thinks ahead.
Yes.
I'm a long-term thinker. I
Me
think
too.
whatever decision I make right now is just going to benefit me in the long run.
Exactly.
Because your actions have consequences. Something might seem great in the moment, right?
Exactly.
But if it's not going to work out for me long term, like, I don't know about that. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to, especially if it's just you. You know, you have to think ahead. I'm a thinker ahead too.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a to-do list. I have to-do lists and I have addendums to my to-do list. And sometimes I have addendums to my addendum. But I think you have to because things happen, things change, and you have to be ready for it. If you just go fly by night and whatever comes, that's chaotic.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's enough with life, and I don't need to add extra chaos
Right.
to my life.
Yeah. And even like as you date, if you are somebody that thinks long term and thinks consequences, like, you don't want to date somebody chaotic like that.
Exactly. You looking for somebody, just like King
Some kind of
Lemuel was looking for
stability,
somebody
like-
that fits his life.
right, yeah.
You, as a woman, you looking for somebody that coincides with your life and what
Exactly.
the life that you want.
Yeah.
Because if you looking ahead and you with somebody who's can't see past today, you're talking clashing.
Yeah.
Because they're not seeing the long run. They're not seeing the plans. Like, okay, but we want a house. Well, let's go buy a house. Do you have house money?
Right.
Do you have the down payment? You
Yeah.
know?
Can you keep up with the mortgage? Like,
Right. You got
Can we buy furniture? Like, we just gonna be sitting on the floor?
right. Because I don't think a lot of people understand. Because I look at that, you know, my lottery dream home. People went, oh, I want $1 million. And when they said, how much you going to put into the house? Oh, $600,000. You're not getting 1 million. You're getting about $750 at the most. So you're gonna spend $500,000-$600,000 on the house. There's utilities, there's upkeep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know maybe they don't never had a house, so they don't know what comes to it.
Right.
So you have to be ready for everything. You know what they used to say back in the day, the rainy day fund.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
And then the last one, she's wise. So I think some of that we kind of touched on with like just making good decisions as well. Being able to think for yourself.
And like you said, think ahead.
Right.
Yeah. She has to know what she wants. When you know what you want, you have to think ahead. What do you think? See, we're talking about Proverbs 31 woman again, but we're talking about as a single woman. And we've established that when King Lemuel was looking for this wife, all the characteristics that they were looking for was not of a married woman, but of a single woman. Because people don't see it on that angle. They see as a woman, married woman, she's doing all this, but it was all in her before she got married. So, yeah. You want to continue?
Yep. It can be overwhelming to look at this list, but one of the most important things to remember is it's not a requirement for us to fulfill, but it is a testimony of how God shapes us into his image. Not one woman in the Bible was perfect. Rahab, I hope I said that correctly, and Mary Magdalene were prostitutes. Ruth was a widow from a pagan nation. The woman at the well was divorced 5 times. Mary was too young. Elizabeth was too old.
Yeah, because you thinking, because it's showing like perfection. And
Right.
there's no such thing as perfection. The Bible says, mark the perfect man. They don't say be the perfect man.
Right.
We have to strive to be, you know, better than who we are today. Because if who you are right now is not where you want to be tomorrow,
Right.
then like you said, you got to be a thinker. You got to look ahead and be ready. What do you all think? We were talking about basically there's no such thing as perfect. And even all of the qualifications that the Proverbs 31 woman had, we're still not perfect. We don't have to be, because all the things that she was and did, we don't have to be perfect. We can just do who we are and achieve. And like you said, be a thinker, think ahead, work with where you are and thinking, like you had a good point, you got to prepare yourself for where you want to go. So what is your opinion on that? And she went through the women in the Bible, some of the women in the Bible who were not perfect. You know, some was prostitute, married 5 times. So we all have a past. You know, nobody walked through this life with their glorified body. We're flesh and blood. We make mistakes. We live, we learn, we grow.
It's a saying that if you know better, you do better. So we go through life, we make decisions, we make mistakes, and hopefully we learn from them and don't do it again. We, as a single woman, as single women, you have to learn to think for today and tomorrow and carry it on, because if you're in it by yourself, you got to be in it to win it, right? you have to choose wisely, make great decisions, and go forward and be careful along the way, because the trick of the enemy is to bring someone to looks like the picture that you want, make life, or they give that person or the person to come with the image that you think you want or the things you want, and actually it may be tricking you and may set you 100 steps back.
Right.
So with wisdom that comes, you gotta make very wise decisions as the
Right.
person that you choose to be in your circle.
Right.
And the people that and you gotta look at, and as single women, you have to look at life as, this person gonna be an asset or a liability to my life. What you coming to bring? What you gonna do? And men ask women all the time, what you gonna bring to the table? I am
Exactly.
the table. No, what do you have to bring to the table? So it's, yeah.
Yeah. That, I agree. Anyone want to add to it? Looks like Evangelist Carly wants to. She knows you. Because she knows you. Come on, share your wisdom.
All right, so perfection, but being perfect. So in your efforts, that means in my perception, you do the best you can. You don't hold back, you do the best. And that's what God requires, even in salvation, knowing that we're flesh, knowing that we are imperfect anyway, but his want for us is to give him the best that we have. Not, oh, well, I'll just do that. No, you got to give God your best because he gave us his best.
Right.
Now, as far as the type of person you are and your endeavors, the same concept. Even in friendship be the best friend you can be. Now, you have to weigh your options, and as it was already stated, weigh it out, okay, well, what are you bringing to me to some extent? So you want to do the best you can, as best as you can, and make the best decisions when you can. Because in hindsight, had I known now what I knew back in the day, I would have done so much.
Me too. I agree. I concur. Yeah.
All you can do is the best you can.
Right.
And then when you see, when you can make that change, you can make it a diversion, baby, take the diversion.
Because it's basically, when you're making decisions for your life, it's about your life.
Exactly.
Not your life today, just today. Because like you say, thinking ahead. You have to think ahead.
Long term.
Because especially if you're single, everything is on you.
Exactly.
You need to have a home. You need to, if you have a car, you have bills to pay.
Right.
If it's an apartment, if it's a HOA, or if it's whatever is on you.
Exactly.
So you can't live this carefree life unless you got it like that. And I don't know a lot of people who does.
And if you do, the Lord wants you to be
You-
wise over everything
And
you have. But careless living anyway.
And exactly, you have to have wisdom. She pointed that out. We have to have wisdom. So it's about not just being in the moment, but especially if you're married with children, you have to think ahead, because the Bible talks about putting money aside for your kids and your kids' kids.
Yeah, that generational wealth.
Exactly. So you have to think ahead. You can't just stay in this moment. You want to continue?
Yeah. So what did they all have in common? Proverbs 31, verse 30 says, "Charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised." In Proverbs 1, verse 7, we find a similar declaration. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge." To fear the Lord is like the fear a child has of disappointing his or her parent. Not because they're scared of getting punished, not because she's scared of getting punished, but because she doesn't want to displease someone she loves and respects.
Yeah. It's a reverence. It's that reverence. And it's like we always say, getting back to that relationship you have with God. When you have a good relationship with somebody, you don't mistreat them.
Right.
Especially you give your friends, your family, the best of who you are. And because, we always growing and learning and evolving, because no one stays stagnant. Be that same person for 10, 15,
Right.
20,
Yeah.
30, whatever, because life is going to change you, because life changes. You grow with it. You learn. Even if you're just learning from someone else's experience, you learn, because if someone is living large, doing whatever, and they have problems, that, to me, that teaches, because I would say, you know, I learned from everything I saw. When I was growing up and I saw, like I've spoken, I saw a lot of drug use. I wasn't the type of person that says, oh, it won't happen to me. Let me stick my hand in that fire and see if it's gonna burn me
Right.
like it burned them. No, when I saw their life burn and crash, I said, you know what? That don't see, I never saw the fun. They said, oh, we having fun. You stopped us from having fun. I didn't see fun.
Yeah.
I saw destruction. You know, and I thank God for the wisdom because,
Yeah.
you know, I could have followed suit, but I didn't follow the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to, not even if you're single, especially if you're single, you have to look ahead. You have to see, okay, I don't want to stay in this position where I am now, because life is always changing. The world doesn't stay the same. It constantly changes, and you have to be able to grow with it.
Did you want to read some of the comments?
Okay. Evangelist Sippy says, I can do bad all by myself, and I'm doing my best now. I look for a partner at least on the same level as I am. Michael Wiley, life be lifing. We always talk about that. It's going to always be lifing. You wouldn't even imagine what was going to come up for tomorrow. Because if 10 years ago, you didn't think what's going on would be going on today. Nobody saw it. If you did, we need to talk, because I need to know. I need to know what.
Trying to find some things out.
Right. But you have to be prepared for everything. When I used to take the bus to go to school, my bag I was prepared because the weather in Chicago, you know, it's iffy. In that morning, I made it had certain clothes on. I had a rain umbrella. I had gloves. I had whatever. My bag was ready for everything. And you had to be careful. You had to be prepared. So, as a single woman, asking God for wisdom and discernment is important. Yeah, it is important. It is important. You should always, married or single. But you definitely need single if you're looking to be
Right.
married, because who you were saying that somebody can present one way, and that's not who they are. And if you jump at it, it's like, oh, it checks off all my list, and we're gonna just jump into it, and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Because, you know, people can fake for just so long. They can cover their flaws. You know, makeup don't cover everything. And eventually that wears away. So.
What characterizes us as a Proverbs 31 woman? Our fear of the Lord, our genuine desire from the core of who we are to please Him. Because every good thing in your life will be a direct result of your relationship with God. Proverbs 31 is not a job description for women. I like that. It is also not a shopping list for men. It's an example of the abundance God gives us over time as we grow to know and love Him more. And as a single woman, it's a good reminder that a husband and kids are not a prerequisite to receive all God has for you in your life.
Yes. Yeah, you like that, but it's not a.
Right, yeah. Just remember the definition of virtuous is having or showing high moral standards as well as having moral excellence and righteousness. Keep going? Okay. Which you can possess whether you are marrying or single. Each one of those traits previously listed can be possessed by single women. A single woman can be trustworthy, wise, help her community, financially stable, or have abundance. She can have high moral character, and she can have high moral character and be a blessing to few or many. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 34 says, the woman who is unmarried and the virgin who is concerned about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and spirit. You can have a fulfilling personal relationship with God, walk in your purpose, and be productive whether you are married or single. So yes, a single woman can be a Proverbs 31 woman.
Do you all agree? Exactly. Because, like I said, when you read that, it talks about her being married. But when I look at it closely, she had all those characteristics before she got married. Because when King Lemuel's mother was telling him, like we said before, when she was telling him what to look out for to be his queen, those were the characteristics of her before he chose her as his wife. So, do you agree? No. Go ahead.
As I was saying, most women have those traits. Most women are nurturers. We're caring. We're this. We that. So a lot of women, we carry those traits as a woman because it's instilled in us already, right? And so it kind of lures the men in. So yes, you can very much be a single woman and have those traits because at the end of the day, they're just good traits. They're good womanly traits to have. Like you just want to be a good, grounded person.
Exactly.
So I totally agree. Like single, yeah. Because you can be single forever. Everybody don't want to desire to be married.
That is true.
And you can still be a good person. Everybody don't desire to have a mate or want somebody in their space because they better without it. But however, that's them. However, so I'm just saying, some people don't desire to be married or be with somebody they find themselves that they can be better off by themselves. Because it's stressful to have, sometimes it's stressful to have a man and a mate in your household and in your space. And sometimes you just want to be by yourself. However, God desires us to be married because some people are better to be married.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
In some cases, I'll say the man. Okay, so to piggyback on what Pastor just said, in some cases, men can help elevate a woman, but as a good couple, we elevate each other.
Because she can
And
elevate
so
him.
The man doesn't make the woman great. However, he can bring out some things in her that she didn't know she had in him, and he can bring out some things in her. And that's called balance in the relationship. Ain't nobody in the relationship better than nobody else. However, men do carry that persona that they make a woman great. And as a good woman, we kind of pull back and just smile and let them think that. We let them think that. However, that's not true.
Very well said.
However,
Oh yeah, this is Women's Month. Evangelist, I concur.
Yeah.
I concur. It's that wisdom that we have. That's it. So,
However, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
okay. Okay. You have just witnessed Faith, Hope, and Charity, Meredith Streets, Sunday School.
A full-on
However, we want to thank you all. However, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for,
Apparently, this needs to be like
yes.
another part in this series. 'Cause
We do have to end because Sunday morning service is starting in a few. But I thank you all for coming in and enjoying this. Evangelist Sibby says she concur as well. And she says, however. So if you are in Chicago, step by, it was at 10 o'clock, 354 West 71st Street. See, I remember it. Or 71st and Stewart. So, like I said, thanks for coming out and enjoying Sunday school with us. Take care and be blessed.